Hello, and welcome to my house.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
We're in my house.
That's true.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Film Bouillabaisse. Sorry for the long break, but we're back.
We've been away, but now we're back.
And now we've watched a lot of things, and we're ready to chat with you.
What did you want to talk about today, Alison?
Some of the things that we've seen recently are including Asteroid City, the new Wes Anderson venture. What do you think about
Let's
that?
talk about Asteroid City, because it's an interesting film.
Okay.
And I feel like I have things to say about it.
And we'll insert the graphics here.
What graphics do you imagine we're going to insert?
There's going to be like a rocket zooming across the screen.
Okay. Well, that's not going to happen, but we'll pretend it will.
Play the theme music.
Film Bouillabaisse.
And we're clear. So, I watched this in the home cinema, and you saw this at the movie theater.
I wanted to go to the theaters because there are not very many current directors making films that I will see anything they put out. And Wes Anderson is one of these few brave, proud, artists or auteurs, maybe you might say.
Yes, a true auteur.
And
really,
I want to see anything that he does. I don't like all of his movies that much. I was not that pleased with The French Dispatch, but nevertheless, I think what he does is different and interesting than what everyone else is doing. And so I want to see what he does. And so I was excited to see Asteroid City. It looks very cool. And so I went to the theater to watch it, even though I don't go to the theater that much anymore.
Well, I am a known Schwartzman fan.
Yes.
Jason Schwartzman freak. I
Right.
love him. And he's in it, and he's got a great, juicy role.
That's true.
Not his normal Wes Anderson role.
No, very different. And as usual, the cast is crazy in this movie. It's got Tom Hanks. It's got Edward Norton. It's got, who else does it have in it?
Scarlett Johansson. And
ScarJo, yep.
I would like to say about Tom Hanks, is that I feel like he's channeling Bill Murray.
Yeah,
I feel like Bill
that's
Murray
the role
said
that
no.
you would have thought would have gone to Bill Murray, given Wes Anderson.
I feel like Bill Murray said no.
Yeah.
I want to do Zombieland 3.
Adrian Brody. I love Adrian Brody.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
And both he and Schwartzman were in Darjeeling Limited.
Yes.
But so I wasn't in love that Tom Hanks was in this. I felt like he was just doing his Bill Murray impersonation.
I know Tom Hanks had his heyday when he made some really great films, but that is a long time ago.
It's been a while.
And most of his films he's making now are not so good.
We are not an anti Tom Hanks channel,
No.
but we just want something juicier out of him. So let's talk about the set design. As always, he's got these lush, colorful landscapes. And the palette here is a little bit muted in that desert Sedona kind of way.
Well, he did something interesting with the filming in this, where he's like almost removed all the shadows. Everything is very flat looking. It almost looks like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon with the desert, and it's like kind of painted almost looking the way the film is. I'm not quite sure how they achieved that effect, but it's very different.
2D.
I haven't seen many other films that look like that.
I said that it reminded me of Mandalay.
Okay.
The Lars von Trier,
From Rebecca?
Dogma 94, Dogma 95 protocol. So you mentioned that you thought it had an artificiality to the set design.
All of Wes Anderson's movies lean heavily into artificiality, some more than others. And I think
Except my house. This is not wallpaper, guys.
That's not a Wes Anderson movie.
It's not artificial,
He leans into artificiality on everything. The way he frames the shots, the way he does loves little miniatures, like dollhouse sort of effects. He likes to make his sets look like dollhouses, and that's his style, and that's what he does. I feel like sometimes in his movies, the style overtakes the substance of the film.
Sure.
And it becomes...
Give an example.
Well, that's how I felt about The French Dispatch. I felt like French Dispatch was all about style, and there wasn't that much substance to it.
Grand Budapest
and I think
Hotel.
Grand Budapest Hotel is right on the line.
Okay.
It's like, I like Grand Budapest Hotel, but it was almost tipping over into just
the
too
y-axis and the x-axis meet there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I feel like where Wes Anderson is at his best is in earlier films like the Royal Tenenbaums, where you have that, his style, you have that artificiality, but it's wrapped around this heart-filled story about a family and real people and real emotions and stuff. So that's what I like when I think he's at his best. And I was worried that he's kind of been drifting away from that towards just pure style in the last few films he's made. But I think this is a return to form for him, because although the style is highly artificial and really weird, there is a core heart story in there about families, about relationships, that I think was moving and I think was emotional and had very satisfying.
So the very basic premise is that these families are converging for this competition, this science and technology competition. Boys and girls that are probably about, 14 years of age, young teenagers. And so they're all congregating on this hotel motel that's very colorful. And there's a diner nearby that there's some scenes at. And there's a famous actress that's also staying at this hotel.
Yeah, and Wes Anderson gets criticized for making the same movie over and over again, and there's some legitimacy to that because like this has the precocious children thing in it that all of his movies have.
Yeah.
Like that Moonrise Kingdom had, and that all of his movies have precocious children in them. Royal Tenenbaums. It's got that. It's got like kind of the broken family a little bit thing going on. He does that over and over again.
Yes.
So there's very clear Wes Anderson themes that are repeated in this, but they're done in a slightly different way.
We have been thinking about a future episode ranking our favorite Wes Anderson films. So if you would like us to do that, drop us a line down below.
What did you think about the framing device of the play? Because the movie is framed as a play that's being put on. So you have two different parallel stories. You have the playwright and the director and the actors who are putting on the play, and then you have the play itself, which is kind of the main body of the story. But that's sort of a framing narrative. And when I initially went into it, I thought this is unnecessary. Why is this here? Like, just give me the main story. Why do we have this framing nice? But I sort of came around towards it at the end because I think some of the most impactful lines in the movie were in the framing narrative.
Well,
so what do you think?
And I mentioned Manderley, which is the wrong Lars Van Trier. I meant Dogville, which is the first of that trilogy. And that made me think more of Dogville 2, of the play being staged in front of you, but then the staging of the play is a story in of itself. I didn't mind it per se, but it does kind of take you out of the actual main storyline when you know that it in of itself is also artificial and contrived.
Right.
Because it's like, what anchor do I have to connect to these characters when those aren't even really the characters, those are characters within characters.
Yeah. But I think some of the entire point of the movie, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what the point of the movie is. And maybe it doesn't have a point, and maybe that's okay. But to me, the entire point of the movie was sort of wrapped up in that framing narrative. There's a line where the lead actor is struggling with his motivation, and he goes to the director, and he's like, I don't understand why my character is doing what he's doing. I don't understand why the dialogue is the way it is. I can't figure it out. Can you help me? And the director just says, it doesn't matter if you don't understand it. Just do it anyway. And I think that's sort of the overarching theme of the movie.
So there is a shot that you see, I think at least 3 times in the film, and it's of the hotel sign and kind of the entrance of the hotel. It's shot like you seeing down the road. And onto the left, there's a ramp that comes up and around over the road. And there's a sign in front of the ramp that says like, permanently closed or something like that. And I think that ramp, that dead ramp that goes nowhere, because it doesn't connect with anything. It just kind of hovers off in space. And I feel like that is the perfect symbol for this film.
Yeah.
You get on the ramp and you start to go, but then it doesn't quite ever touch down. So I think that was maybe an inadvertent allegory or metaphor on Wes Anderson's part. But that was a coincidence that he keeps showing that.
You're right. It's a very symbolic film. I think it's a very metaphorical film. And I think that to derive meaning out of it, you have to kind of put in some work as an audience member to figure out what it means. And
it's worth it.
I like that. I think it's good. As long as I can find some meaning in it, I don't mind if I have to do the work to get it.
So we liked it. I don't know that we loved it.
Yeah, I wouldn't rank it up there with his best films, but I certainly think it's much better than The French Dispatch and better than the last couple films he's made. So I'm glad to see him kind of returning to form a little bit, and I'm curious to see what he does next. I hope that he doesn't retire anytime soon.
No, he's pretty young.
Yeah.
I hope Owen Wilson comes back.
Yeah, I missed Owen Wilson in this because he's one of my favorite Andersonian actors. And, he used to co-write stuff with him. I think everything through Life Aquatic was co-written with Owen Wilson.
That's one of my favorites. So Matt Dillon was new to the Wes Anderson troupe. How do you think that he did?
I thought he was fine. I don't have much to say about Matt Dillon. He was good.
10 out of 10, Matt Dillon.
My favorite actors in it were actually in the framing narrative. I love Edward Norton. He's one of my favorite actors. I love Adrian Brody. I think he's amazing.
He's so great.
I think he's highly underrated as a comedic actor. I think Adrian Brody has really good comic timing. But he's so well known as like a really heavily dramatic actor from The Pianist and things like that. So, or is it The Piano? I forget.
No, it's The Pianist. The Piano is Harvey Keitel and Holly Hunter.
Right. So he's known for that kind of stuff, but I think he's quite funny, and so I like to see him. And they were both in the framing narrative, and I loved them. And I like Jason Schwartzman in this role a lot.
He's so great.
Really good.
Where have you not liked Schwartzman? Don't say Rushmore, because he was great in Rushmore. You may not have liked Rushmore, but he was great in Rushmore.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the time that we have for you today. Talia is scratching at the door and must be let in. So, onward.
Onward and upward, and forever more watching movies.
All right, guys, keep it real. See you soon.
Ciao. Meow.